This model from the class V180, called class 118 from 1970 onwards, is in TT gauge and comes from the company VEB Berliner TT-Bahn in the former GDR. This model of diesel locomotive was built in the early 1980s. The locomotive has two separate bogies that are suspended. The headlights and taillights change automatically with the direction of travel. The coloring corresponds to the original. Speaking of which, the German Reichsbahn's original V180 series was the largest diesel locomotive ever built in the GDR, the eastern part of Germany. The first order was issued as early as 1953 to implement the transmission change from steam to diesel locomotives as quickly as possible. 4 years later, the concept for a heavy passenger and freight locomotive with up to 2000 horsepower was created. The two prototypes were ready in the year 1959. However, these never went into serious production because, among other things, they were too heavy. Nevertheless, 2 years later, the funds for the construction of 128 locomotives were approved, and 2 more prototypes had to be built before serious production gradually began. In total, 83 locomotives of the V180 series were built by the year 1965, with a length over the buffers of 19,460 millimeters and an operating mass of 78 tons. They were equipped with 2 900 horsepower engines. From 1965 onwards, even more powerful engines with 1,000 horsepower each were used, and the series designation was adapted accordingly to V181. So, by 1966, 81 more locomotives had been built. They all had the B-B- wheel arrangement and were on the main routes of the GDR, quite in active service. Since the change of traction, however, was also to be pushed forward on the branch lines, a reconstruction was desired. In particular, the wheel arrangement had to be changed to a C-C- arrangement. Then, from 1966 onwards, the new series of additional 205 locomotives was produced. Since the last ones were only completed after the year 1970, they already had the new IT-compliant numbers as Series 118. Over the years, there were further conversions and improvements to existing locomotives. For example, between the years 1979 and 1987, the engines of 52 locomotives from the original series were replaced so that they now also had 1,000 horsepower engines. 7 more now even had 1,223 horsepower, which is 900 kilowatts. In addition, from 1981 onwards, the class 118.2 to 118.4, built for the branch lines, also received even more powerful engines with 1,200 horsepower and new serial numbers. So not only has the technology changed visibly over the years, but also the numbering system. After the German reunification, all locos of this class again received a new series designation, now being called Class 228. However, they were phased out by the Deutsche Bahn, the German state railway, by the year 1995. Then again, numerous locomotives from this class are still preserved today. They can be found not only in the German Technology Museum in Berlin or in the Dresden Transport Museum, but also as work locomotives on the Presnitztalbahn, and one of them even has a special fate. It was converted into a 3-room hotel and stands on the site of the former reception building for the Wiesenburg train station.